that was like ultimatum. It was either pretty much us could be in the house or he could be in the house. And unfortunately, she decided to keep seeing him. But my mom took the money for herself rather than transferring it to me. He sprayed an aerosol can on a light bulb and it just ignited. The whole house was, up in flames. Has to be recorded and has to go to court since we have an ongoing case. So you're going to receive a letter and you're going to have to adhere to this court date for this. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm not dumb. Like, I know you had a crush on me. So is that the reason I don't have a job, because you couldn't contain yourself around me? And he was like, yes. Hi, my name is Kiley Smily. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And what money means to me is just everybody needs it. Everybody's trying to get it, but it comes and goes and you can always make more of it. It's something that stays around and is always in circulation, but it's not something that stays around much, because when we die, we don't die with pockets, so we don't keep that money. That it's all just left behind. So money is just an interesting variable in life that you have to keep you going.
And right. So, hi Gary, good to see you. One thing I gathered from how you choose to define money is that you acknowledge its importance, but at the same time, you almost spoke like a monk, like a very religious person, right? To typically do that. It's not something that you need to be too worried about. End of the day, you're not able to take it to your grave. Right? So give it the importance it's due, but you don't overdo it. And then probably you don't, sounds like you're not somebody who wants to accumulate a lot of money, a lot of assets. You want to live in the moment. Did I get that right?
Right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'd rather, if I could have an option, okay, do this for money or do this for happiness. Even though this is a lot of money and that could contribute to happiness, I take this in the moment because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to have that money continue forward. So absolutely.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And then that's valid too. Many times people take decisions where they're so worried about their future that they don't enjoy the present. Right? So it's important to save money. For example, we'll talk about it. Retirement planning is very big in personal finance. But many a times one gets so worried about the future that you forget to enjoy your present. And when you're young or relatively young, when you can actually have experiences, people choose not to go out, not to do certain things. When you have kids, people choose to be very stingy with their money, very careful with their money. And end of the day, when you're retired, you may have money and they say we will roam the world, but at that time they have diseases and other problems, then they just can't go out. Right? So sometimes it may backfire, and you're right. Best of it, nobody knows how long we'll live. It can work other way around too. Because you don't know how long we'll live, you do have to think about a longer life too. What happens if I live too long? And do I have a plan for that? Right? So we'll talk about how you are in balancing these dynamics.
Yeah, it's like a tightrope.
It is. It is.
You just got to find that line, the balance. And I'm still juggling. I'm not perfect at it. I'm definitely still working on finances. I think it's always like a work in progress.
Right. So you said you're in Nashville, Tennessee. Have you always been there? Like you're born there, raised there?
No, I don't know if you can hear my accent, but I'm from Hyannis, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. So, like, how much time did you spend there? Did you grow up there?
Yeah, I was born and raised there, and then I kind of moved around. This is my third time living in the Nashville area, but now I'm here for the foreseeable future.
I see. And how big is the place that you grew up in? I have not heard of the town.
It was about 5 minutes from the Kennedy compound, President Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2 hours outside of Boston, Little Peninsula, Cape Cod, yeah. So it's just like a cape, but if you drive 20 minutes in any direction, you're going to hit water. So it's not huge, but everybody knows everybody there, and there's a lot of towns. And now it's just a tourist attraction, so everything's all different there. There's so many people there, and most of the businesses are just like for visitors.
I see.
But there's still a lot of people that live there.
Mm.
But definitely smaller than Nashville, I'd say, by a lot.
I see. And like, what brought you to Nashville? Was it work opportunity? Was it personal, like marriage or other thing?
Yeah, personal. So it was a different reason each time, but long story short, what kept bringing me back was I had a little bit of family in the area. Like something would, unfortunately, like in Massachusetts, our house burned down, and we had family in the area that owned land, and they said they'd build a house for us. So financially, that was beneficial because we just had somebody take the contractor take $40,000 from us while we were trying to build a house in a land, living from a trailer. We're like, well, we can't. We don't have the finances to keep putting out. So if somebody's going to build us a house and we can pay that off because they're in our family, kind of like a rent-to-own situation. And that happened. So of course we jumped on that and moved down to Tennessee. That was the time before this time. And then I ended up leaving, settling in Virginia for a little while, doing some schooling there. And then after I had kids, since I still had family in Tennessee, I wanted my kids to be closer to the family. So I decided to move back to Tennessee. And I've only been back in Tennessee for like not even 2 years now.
Oh, that's interesting. So you already sort of packed so many things there. Let's talk about the house fire. When did it happen? How old were you?
That was back in 2008. So, well, actually 2005, and then it was by the time we moved to Tennessee, it was 2008. So I was pretty young. I was just a teenager at that time.
Oh, so you're still living with your parents? That's what I wanted to understand.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, that whole situation made it pretty interesting because I ended up living without my parent. I just had one parent growing up, but I lived without her for a long time. And so did my siblings. I ended up living in France actually for a little while after that whole situation, just because it was hard, financially with housing and all of that. So I had the opportunity to go to France, and I worked on a tour bus over there, and I lived there for a little under a year. And then I came back here to the States and to Virginia and did schooling. And then after I had kids, I went to Tennessee, be with family. So I did a lot of experience.
You clearly did. You clearly did. So again, I wanted to, if you don't mind, really understand, because there are two aspects to what you just explained. One is something bad that happened with your house. It got burned down, right? So we wanted to really touch upon a little bit about what was the situation, or how did your family, you, your mom, you dealt with it, your sibling. And second, again, you said that you went to France, started earning. So looks like you started making your own money pretty early in your life. How old were you when you
Yes.
made your first paycheck?
I was pretty young because even in Massachusetts, I never came from a well-to-do family. Came from a single mom with 3 girls, and I mean, I'm very eager and energetic, so I wanted to do it all. So, I was in like all the clubs, all the sports, everything after school I can do. So if I wanted to do that, I had to find a way to do that. So when I was young, I was making bracelets, trying to sell it at church, make a lemonade, trying to sell it, But when I was able to actually get a paycheck, by the time I was 12, I was already paying for the electricity bills in the house, So it was just, my mom was never financially well-to-do, and I always wanted to, if I could do more and help out, then I would. Like, I helped somebody, I just worked on a farm, and I'd make $20 a day working on a farm, milking goats, and, just working the farm hours around there, or photography company. I'd help out, like, doing the pictures, and I could get like $5 an hour, which is just a little bit here and there, but that's how I, started making money to be able to help pay bills and, just do fun stuff with my siblings. Where it wasn't much, but like we might just go to the candy store and buy candy or something when we were a kid, and that was a lot of fun.
Were you the eldest one?
I was actually in the middle, but in the middle. So I had a couple younger, couple older, but the oldest one, she didn't want to have it. I was like the second one. She was like, she stuck to herself, She didn't want to, and that's okay. She should be. She should worry about herself. She doesn't have to be worried about her siblings. But I don't know. I just felt like if I can do it, I'm going to do it. Like I want to give the best I can to my family if I can. Not that I'm perfect. It's not like I did it all, But that was just my attitude towards things.
Yeah, and I've seen this very often. I find that in my conversations also with other guests, that kids in the same family, they deal with the situation very differently. Same living under the same situation, same parents, right, same financial situation, they deal with it differently. So you chose to sort of see it as, what can you do, right? How can you help, be it sibling and family? But it started very early. You're saying it started with you thinking about how to manage, how to manage your own expenses, or fees for those clubs and little activities at school, right? It started from there.
Right. When we were young, like there was a time where we didn't have electricity for weeks, so we were cooking like an actual bird that we had to get on the fire. We were like washing Ziploc bags and reusing them, and I just like I was I wanted I didn't want I saw how much my mom wanted like to do more, and I wanted to do more, and that just I wanted to do better. You know what I mean? It wasn't that I was upset what she gave me, but I just wanted to be able to money. You can go out and make money. You know, you can't make more time, so take that opportunity, make that money, and do the best I can for my family, you know?
Right, right. No, I can totally understand. So you're describing a childhood which financially was definitely tough. And do you, what reason do you see? Is it like your mom did not prepare herself to earn financially, or did something else go wrong? Like, because that's another thing which particularly girls have to sort of learn. It's better if they learn through others' experience about how much,
Right.
like sometimes they depend too much on the man or a man, right? And sometimes they just don't ready themselves. So even when they are alone, they're not really in a position to make their own money. I'm sure you have drawn some lessons,
Right.
which is even today would be working with you, that I need to be financially independent. Like, is there anything like that? Like, was she doing something? Was she not qualified enough, or was she too uh, sort of bogged down with so many kids and other responsibilities around? What do you say?
Right. And there's been, you know, a lot of things back and forth, but totally like our relationship is great. So when I say anything, it's not knocking her as a person, but she just didn't make the greatest decisions. She was like, she spent her time instead of, she did work, she worked all the time, but like I hardly saw her. She didn't come to any of our soccer games. She didn't come to like anything. Like I would wait hours after school and they're like, is your mom going to pick you up? And I'm like, I don't know. And she'd be out, you know, hanging out with a boy, or she'd be out um, doing some, you know, extracurricular activities or something. And so a lot of the times her money was just, even though we always had a roof over our head. So I'm not going to say we didn't. She did make sure we had that, but her time just wasn't, her finances and her time just weren't connected in a proper manner, you know?
Okay. And again, like we said, every individual is different, but some of those experiences. So it is about priorities, right?
Right.
Again, it's a balancing act, prioritizing oneself and then prioritizing family or kids. People do it differently, and but that also, and we will talk about how you are dealing with your kids, for example. But typically, I've seen that those kind of experiences, they also define how we evolve as an adult ourselves and as a parent ourselves, right? So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. But you're saying by 12 you were doing some odd jobs and where possible even helping with families' finances, which is uh, very admirable. Frankly speaking, I have seldom seen any 12-year-old who is as responsible, who is able to help do those. So that's really commendable. Um, but those were like odd jobs, smaller jobs. Obviously, what else can a 12-year-old do? But
Right.
at what point you say that you actually held some job where you knew some predictable money would be coming in? Because sounds like you said you went to France. I don't know, you went for school or you actually went for to do something as well there. You spoke about some tour guide and other stuff.
Right. So just before that, I had technically gotten like my first actual job, you know, like when you're 15 and a half, you're allowed to work at certain jobs. So it's just like serving at a restaurant. And then it wasn't, we were actually in Tennessee for a couple years at that time, but due to one of my mom's financial decisions and decisions of the boyfriends, there was just a long story. And so pretty long story short, the guy was doing some fishy things. He was very abusive towards me and other people, and there was a court case against him, and he wasn't allowed to live in our house, the house that got built for us in Tennessee, and or it was either like the kids can live there or he can live there because
And whose house was this? Sorry, I'm sorry to hear that you had to go through that. But whose
it
house?
was our house and
Like your mom's house,
that
right?
got built for us. Yeah, the one we were renting to own, pretty much. You know that our family had built us in Tennessee.
Okay.
So, and this was when I was like I said, I just had gotten my first job, pretty much. And
Just sorry, but I'm just curious that this is happening where, like you said, he's abusive and goes to court, but uh, your mom still had that because why would this be even a choice? But because mom's relationship was still there, right? She did not end the relationship at that
Right.
point, even at when this was
Right.
happening.
And that was a dilemma. That was like ultimatum. It was either pretty much us could be in the house or he could be in the house. And unfortunately, she decided to keep seeing him. So and then at that point, like my one sister went to go live with my nana. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to live with my nana, but then my teacher at school said that they were going to France and said I could come with them. And I talked to my mom. Obviously, she didn't mind because she decided to choose her boyfriend at that time over us. So I went to France, and I ended up. It was fun. I worked on a tour bus, which was just like those French people over there. They love Starburst. They love Americans. They love our accent. So I just sang American songs on a tour bus, And I was not there for too long, just like 7.5 months. But still, it was just a fun experience. And then they were moving back to the States. So I moved back to the States too. And then I ended up going to college. And I went to college in Virginia. And then I met somebody that I ended up having kids with. And then, like I said, once I had kids, I decided to be around family. So it was kind of like a strange between me and my mother for a while. But once I had kids and everything, I did not want them not to have a grandparent, especially when I don't have a dad, And the person I was with, it didn't end up working great, So I moved here so that my family could have more family.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So, did it work out for your mom with whoever person you had? You guys had to move out, or like how long did it last after that?
Just a few months.
Few months. After that, it was okay for you to come back or stay close if required.
Yeah, but honestly, of course, that hurt me. It's hard for somebody to feel like your own mother choose somebody over you, which I don't hold that against her. We've talked through stuff, but so that took a while to heal. Like I said, I pretty much went right to college. It's not like I moved back in with her, so it took me like having kids and growing up. But it's not like I never talked to her or anything. It's not like I'm mad at you. Resentment is bad for me, not for you. So I'm not going to hold any guilt or anything like that. Like I forgive her.
But in the moment of time, it was tough. You're saying when you're going.
Yeah, so I just moved on with my life, and but then came back here now. So
Okay.
it kind of catches you up, hopefully a little.
Okay. This was the last question about growing up, and then we'll move on. In fact, two. So one, you said you didn't have your dad in your life at all, right? I'm looking from who gave you the lessons of life or even around money. So you didn't have your dad,
He
and right.
passed away when I was 2, correct? Yes.
Okay. And then
So I didn't grow up with a dad.
okay, that's tough. And then with mom also, would you say that again limiting to money and finances and all? Did you say that she gave you any active lessons, or is this mostly around what you were drawing, looking at the situation of the house or how her actions were leading to certain outcomes? You would have drawn your own conclusion as a kid growing up. Was that your primary financial education growing up, or was somebody talking to you about money?
No, it was always watch and learn until I took personal economics in middle school,
I see.
That was my first lesson in finances. And that's not much, it's just, this is how you balance a checkbook. Well, thanks, but how do I actually work with finances?
Yeah, no, schools don't do a good job, unfortunately.
Give and go.
Yeah, so you need some practical advice. And again, it's not always possible. Sometimes parents are not around. Sometimes they just don't have the skill themselves for them to be able to tell their kids. So that's tough. And then that's why it's so difficult to break this cycle in our society. But how did the house fire happen? And I'm asking about house fire also because I'm sure it had a bearing on your family's finances, right? Because you said it was rent to own, so I'm assuming your family was paying towards the house. So
Right.
how did the house fire happen, and what was the result of it? Like, did insurance pay out enough money so that you could move on and get another one, or did it have a negative impact on your family's finances?
Well, both. So the house in Massachusetts that we were living in, the one that got burnt down, my mom owned it. She was paying on a mortgage on it. The house in Tennessee was technically rent owned, so I'll kind of like explain that. But so the house in Massachusetts that had burnt down, there was somebody that was like staying with us. It was supposed to be helping watch my little sister, but also had her own son, and her son was 4 at the time. And he sprayed an aerosol can on a light bulb, and it just ignited. The whole house went, up in flames. And we were actually at school at the time. My aunt picked me up from school, and I knew something was wrong. I was like, "You never picked me up from school. What's going on? Like, drop me by the house. Something's the matter." And, I was so persistent that she drove me by the house, and we couldn't live there. It was engulfed, it burnt down. I had a rabbit at the time, and he actually survived, though. They got him out, but he had a heat stroke for 3 days. So it was just it was a big situation. But anyway, so we had mom had a lot of old collectibles, a lot of old Barbies, a lot of old Ty dolls that she was hoping was that was her way of investing for us, all these collectibles. She didn't actually have a savings or anything. So physical items were her savings for us. And that all went up in flames. So all these mint Barbie dolls, she thought she was going to get $1,000s. Insurance gave her a fraction of that cost. So they didn't give us enough to really rebuild, but they gave us enough to rent a house for a while we were trying to rebuild. So the goal was to rent a house and rebuild in Massachusetts because all of our family was there. It was 8 generations born and raised at that point in Massachusetts. We had uncle and a cousin in Tennessee, but it wasn't enough to come down here. But then mom put $40,000 into the contractor to build the house, and instead of building the house, he just ran away with it.
The contractor back there in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And that was the final straw, because at that point there was not enough money to keep trying to build this house or put into a new house. And my mom just kind of explained her such frustration to my grandfather, which her and him kind of had an extreme relationship because, he was for lack of a better term, a sperm donor. He wasn't very active in my mom's life, for instance. But anyway, so they rekindled, and he was like, I want you in my life. I want grandkids in my life. I'll build a house since I have land right here, and you'll just pay me pretty much rent to own it from me. And mom was like, well, I have no other option, so let's go to Tennessee. So at that point, we all packed up and went down to Tennessee, and then can kind of gather the rest from there based on what I said before.
Okay, yeah. But your first sort of experience with fraud, I can say, is this contractor walking away with $40,000 at that point must be a lot of money. But why did that happen? There was no contract, or was it a known person who sort of tricked your mom or scammed it? How was it?
Because from everything I've witnessed, and again, I'm not knocking her, but she doesn't make the best decisions with finance. To me, she's a hard woman. I'd be like, okay, I need this in paper. Let's get this straight, because I witnessed from her. But she'll be like, I'm giving you this $40,000, and bat her eyelashes at the guy and be like, you better come to my house tonight, or there's going to be problems. And of course, he's not going to come. He's on vacation now with $40,000.
Yeah.
So she just wasn't thinking very through. She should have done it more professionally.
Right.
And it came to bite her afterwards.
Yeah, no, that's tough. And when do you live in Virginia?
Lynchburg, Virginia, and then a town a little bit small, a very, very small town, population 7,000 people in the whole, or not even 6,000 people, which is a small town. For how much land it has. So I lived in Lynchburg, which is a college town.
It's interesting, but I know Lynchburg. I've been to Lynchburg multiple times.
Yep. So Liberty University, then?
I do.
That's where I graduated from, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Liberty is everywhere there close to Lynchburg. That's what it is. And we lived several years in Richmond, and we had both job-related work as well as friends living in Lynchburg. So we used to visit Lynchburg. I've driven Richmond to Lynchburg umpteen number of times.
Right.
That's nice.
So we drove in the same streets, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So let's come to now. What are you doing? How are you making money? What is your source of income at this point? What are you doing?
The main source of income is self-employed marketing and advertising business, which pretty much I make logos for people, create business cards, get them seen on Google, create Google business pages, get their business or their website so that they can hopefully get more clientele, make brochures, graphic design, things along that lines. Then, of course, I do brand ambassador jobs, so they have events in Nashville. If they have a Titans game or a concert, I just go there and I hand out drink samples or take people's phones and lock them up. It's just called being a brand ambassador, but that's good extra money and that's flexible. And then I also, Uber Eats and DoorDash delivery in between sometimes. And a lot of times I take my kids with me because I'm trying to teach them about finances. And I like them to see that even though, to me, I could go get a job. It doesn't have to be 9 to 5. It could be 10 to 10. It doesn't matter. I could get a salary W-2 job and be away from my kids, but then I have to pay for somebody to take care of my kids. And then so I'm working just for somebody to take care of my kids. Or I can do this, it's not as easy as simple jobs. It's more like I have to go be a go-getter and make it happen. But I get to do it with my kids, and they get to watch my work ethic and watch how, you have to put yourself out there to make money and like what it takes to be able to survive. So it's definitely a little different, a little bit hard at times, but I think I would never change it because, I need to change some things. I need to like get my finances balanced, of course, but I'm making as much time and memories as I can with the kids, and that's all the reason I'm doing it for.
Got it. That's very valid. So you were just telling me about the 3 different jobs that you're doing. Of course, your primary is the marketing and advertising that we spoke about. That's very interesting, though, in terms of marketing and advertising. Did you go to college for this? How did you come across this type of job, which is online brand building and
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I've always been interested in just like edifying other people, like shining other businesses or other people in a positive light, and that's what marketing's all about. But long story short, I kind of went to college. I got as many degrees in as many different fields as I could. I did an interdisciplinary studies, so I could have 4 degrees when I graduated rather than 1, because I wanted just to have like as many outlets as I could possible. And they were just kind of general. I got one in business, I got one in criminal justice, I got one in psychology, and then adventure leadership and outdoor ministry. And then if I wanted to go be in theater, I could have a degree in theater as well, but that wasn't like going to help me or suit me, but it's just another thing. And I'm working on my CDA currently right now. So those are just, it's not necessarily I'm going to use that field, but business is just in psychology. I work with people working with finances, businesses that can help you in any field. So I did kind of go to school for business, but not specifically marketing. And so wrapping that up, once I saw other people working in marketing and I was looking for something to do, wanting to work for myself, I was like, I can do this. And that's what I'm doing, just helping people. Every business needs marketing at some time, even if it's just like updating a logo, creating a brochure. So I just let customers or people know, I'm here to do that, and I'll be the best budget that you can probably find, and I'll be sure to give a smile on your face. So I just like working with people, working with businesses, and growing together.
That's wonderful. So you're saying you self-taught yourself the skills needed to do this? You
Right.
have the people skill and the business skill, but the technical aspects of it, you self-taught yourself?
Correct. Yes.
That's great. You're very enterprising. And I totally agree with you there on your statement about marketing. In fact, there are some smaller businesses who resist the idea of marketing. And then you have to just tell them, look at the Googles, Amazons, and Pepsis of the world. They advertise too, even though everyone knows about them. So
Right.
you still need to keep telling your customer that you're out there. That's the only way to do it.
Right.
Okay, excellent. Very nice. So you said that you went to college, at least for business, not exactly this. But you were also telling me before we started about some incident that happened around college, again, related to money. So I wanted to know, how did you pay for your college? Did you take a loan or how did you fund your college?
Well, mostly I got for an academic scholarship. I had a almost full ride. I just had to pay for like living on campus and expenses such as that. So it was not too much compared to the actual tuition cost. So I'd worked and saved up money. It was just like, under $10,000. So it wasn't like unreasonable for that semester that I had saved up. And so to be able to start to live on campus, they already had set my money, did my financial check-in. I had to transfer that like almost $7,000 to them to be able to live on campus and continue, going to classes there. And they're a strict school, so you weren't allowed to live off campus unless you're a certain age or you were married or lived with somebody specific. So they really wanted you to live on campus. So anyways, I was given that money to give to them. And I had a bank account in Tennessee while I was going to school in Virginia. So I asked my mother, who was in Tennessee at the time, to transfer the money so that I could give it to the school and continue going to school on campus. And that was my very first semester. And long story short, my mom took the money for herself rather than transferring it to me. So the school had told me, okay, if you don't pay to be on campus, you're going to have to kick you off and give your dorm to somebody else. and you have this weekend to figure it out. So I had like 42 hours at that point to figure it out, how I was going to be able to make enough money, like, $7,000 in 42 hours to be able to continue my schooling and live on campus. And
Wow.
obviously I did.
But let me understand. You're saying this is the money that you saved. You didn't borrow from anybody, and your mom obviously didn't give it to you. You earned and saved that money so that you can go to college.
Right.
And then your mom just took it from you, or like that too at the last moment when you were like at the college waiting for that money?
Right. Yeah. At the very last moment. And she ended up apologizing for it, paying me back for it since. But in that moment, it was very like a intense situation for sure. And I ended up getting scholarship and a grant for that within that weekend to pay for it. So that took care of it, so I was able to continue going to school. And then
So you managed to get money through other sources, but
right.
but that money, at least at that point, was gone. Like your mom
Right.
did what she did with that money, but you didn't get that money, right?
Correct. Yes.
Wow. So your college was threatened, but somehow you managed. That
Yes.
must have been a scary experience
Definitely. Yeah.
for a young lady at that age. Yeah.
Yeah, I was laying on the floor in the admissions office, and I'm glad they helped me. They were so kind. I was like, what am I supposed to do here? And they're like, well, we can work with grants. There's still some grants that some people haven't collected. And like I said, luckily it wasn't like more money than that, because I might have not been able to get the grants and the financial assistance or, what they were giving out at the time, if it was more than that, if it wasn't just for my, college campus tuition part.
Okay. So you lucked out.
It worked out, yeah.
And then did you work through college? Like while you were in college, did you need to work a second job or something to pay for it? Or you had any other source?
Yeah, I worked 2 jobs while going to school during like 30 credit hours a semester, because I was trying to get it done early. So I worked, it's like business sales. It's kind of silly, but I worked as a commission job. I sold like kitchen utensils and, like machinery, and it was pretty good pay because I just had to like show people kitchen stuff, and then I'd get a commission for it if they bought kitchen stuff, and everybody needs kitchen stuff. And then I also worked at the school. There was like, they had sports events jobs that they needed people to do stuff. And as well as like they had a food court in Sodexo, and I worked for the food system and worked at, like, it's not Subway, but like a sub type of restaurant, not Taco Bell, but taco type of restaurant, just the food courts there. And I worked there and helped out the whole time that I was going to college there.
Oh, that's incredible, Kelly. I like the way you approached it. Like how I heard you earlier saying everybody needs marketing, every business needs marketing. Now I heard you saying everybody needs kitchen stuff. So you make it sound very easy. I wish salespeople approach their job like this. Like I would love to have somebody like you in my sales team who goes with that approach, because the first thing that you hear from, particularly from people who are new in sales, is, hey, there is nobody interested in our products. I find it so hard. Doors are shut on my face. So people tend to go with a negative perception. I don't know, I'm taking this mixer. Everyone has a mixer at home. Who will buy a mixer? They go with that negative perception. But I like that you're so positive. You're saying everybody needs my product, so it's going to be easy. And then you are kind of approaching it. So love that approach. People can learn from you. That's how you have to approach. Second thing is the commission job, that experience that you got in college. I think that also is going a long way to where you are today, and how you're able to market freelance and market your services. Because in my opinion, every college kid should do a sales job, commission-based job, where you get to go sell to people, and only way you earn is commission on sale. It really teaches you so much, because obviously sales, there will be so many rejections. People will say no to your face, but eventually you learn to get over that, because 80% of the jobs where you can make money is your ability to sell, and that's where people struggle a lot. So I think you got it good.
Is the outlook and the attitude you put forth, just knowing that somebody's going to say yes. And how many times you push you out there, somebody's going to say yes. So even if you have to take 100 no's to get one yes, then try 101 times,
Wonderful. So somebody like you who has this attitude and this experience, in my opinion, should be bringing much more money than, say, you told me about $60,000 or so, right? That's your annual income at this point?
Yeah, a little under that, yeah.
Yeah, about that, right? So are you putting certain constraints on yourself that is not allowing you to grow your income?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's really hard as a mother to balance it because part of me just wants to be like, I want to save for the future. You know, you guys go be with a babysitter. I'm going to go to work. But it's like these kids are only so little for so long, and I don't know how much time I'm going to have with them. So like, I know I'm limiting my money because I could go do more and make more money. All I have to do is just go talk to businesses. Like I said, everybody needs marketing. The more businesses I talk to, the more money I'm going to make. So if I talk to more businesses, put myself out there, I'd make more money. But instead of doing that with my time, I'm instead, doing other things with my time, and I'm aware of that I'm limiting myself financially. But it's a hard thing to balance.
I see. I see. And again, as a parent, you have to make that choice. I understand how you say that you have limited time with your kids, so you are prioritizing that. I respect that. At the same time, those very kids will need more and more money as they keep growing. I'm sure they need enough diapers and all now, but as they grow up, it never goes away. There will be different demands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that there also you do need money, right? So because while they will really appreciate parent being there, they will also expect that you pay for their sports and their trips and all that, right? So it's again a balancing act. And with you, I think what you need to do is look for incremental opportunities. Because I see that you are doing marketing and advertising, that's great. Some of the other things like Uber Eats and even the brand ambassador you spoke about, those are the ones which, in my opinion, take a lot of your time and the pay is not commensurate, even though the flexibility is there. So like you can, any day you can start and sign in Uber Eats and get some additional dollars. So I understand the flexibility, but you're probably better off looking for how you can take your marketing and advertising business to the next level, where you can have customers from, I don't know if you are doing local, but you can even look remote customers, other additional customers,
Right.
even take trips to different places and maybe sell your services and come back. You can service them through home, things like that, which will help you increase your income because you have a good thing going for you. And that experience, if you have good testimonials, which I assume you have because you are working in that area, then you can go and get more customers.
Right.
And then eventually, the goal should be that you sort of form a team. If you can teach somebody to do this for you, then they're doing bulk of the work, but you are kind of an overall in charge. So having your own agency is what I'm trying to arrive at, right? That's where things start to really snowball and you bring in good amount of income. Where there are people who are trying to sell and there are people who are actually doing the work under your guidance. That should be the goal.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, but out of college, did you straight away start doing this, or there are other jobs that you did leading up to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, after college, I just pretty much stuck with marketing. I was actually going to invest in a coffee shop and own part of a coffee shop, and then I did that for a while and ended up, falling in love and having a kid and couldn't wake up at 6 a.m. when I'm pregnant, when I have morning sickness. So got off the coffee shop business and just stuck straight to marketing and doing, what I'm doing now. So that was that after. Of course, I've had all jobs here and there, growing up, but that's pretty much what's been my focus.
I see. And again, we all go through different phases of life. So did you lose any money in the coffee shop thing? Did you actually invest your money?
Luckily with mine, it was more, I invest my time. So if I was working there, then I got the part of the coffee shop. And I mean, it was working out pretty good, but then I couldn't invest my time, at that point. So I ended up, it worked out financially for me. I didn't lose too much, but I didn't really gain too much either. It was good for a while I was there.
Got it. And another good lessons for the listeners here or the viewers. I see you have done some pretty smart things here. For young people who are short on money, which, let's face it, almost everyone is when you're young, right? They feel like, if only I had somebody giving me money, I would have done this, I would have bought this business, I would have invested here. But there is a way to still be a business owner by willing to invest your time, right? Like how you did. So even at my stage where I am today, I may have money to do certain businesses. I'm short on time. If I find a smart, young, enterprising young man or woman who is saying that I will invest my time, but I want some share in the business, I'll treat it as my own business. Somebody like me or probably like you will be interested in that. So young people should take listen from what you did in terms of how you can still be a business owner even if you have no money to invest.
Right.
I love that.
Thank you.
Very nice. You were telling me about some job where you had some crazy experience of your business, that business going bankrupt. Was that the coffee shop?
Right. No, it wasn't my business, any business. It was actually Toys R Us. So I'm sure you've heard about it. That's a big cooperation, and I just had
But they are coming back though.
okay, well, awesome. Well, I'm not planning on working for them again. But it's just a seasonal position, at a local Toys R Us. So it wasn't even like a continual thing. They were gonna offer me an ongoing job, but then they decided to go to bankrupt. So then everybody lost their job, of course. But anyways, during that time, and like I had talked to other people about it, so it didn't seem like a problem. I never said we couldn't do it, but I had checked myself out. I had paid the money that I was supposed to pay. So there was nothing short in the register, but they were like, you're not supposed to check yourself out, especially because we're going through bankruptcy. I was like, I didn't know you were going through bankruptcy. You're still paying me to be here. So I'm coming up and showing up for work. But anyway, so they had this short court situation with the bankruptcy. And since I was an employee during the time they were going through bankruptcy, and I checked myself out in the cash register, they wanted to use this working experience and that particular experience in court and with their bankruptcy, cases and everything. So I had to adhere to all that. I'd gone to court quite a few times, had to help them like other registered accounting things when I was just a seasonal position. So all of a sudden, just from kind of doing something a little ignorant, but in that moment, I was trying to help them. Like, oh my gosh, we're so busy. These people don't have anybody at the cash register. I just want this drink. I'm going to check myself out and get it, type of thing. It wasn't like anything malicious to it, but it ended up.
When you said checked yourself out, you mean you were an employee, but still you bought something and then you sort of, you were the cashier and you were the buyer for that transaction.
Right. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do understand, like I said, it was kind of ignorant, but it wasn't because I was doing anything wrong. It was just, okay, let me get my thing while, instead of bombarding.
And what is it? Was it actually a drink?
Yeah, it was a drink and a game. So it was a drink and a game. I was like, well, I'm going to buy a game later today.
How much though? What is the dollar value? Like
like $70 and something cents. The game was
so can I say this? Toys R Us took you to court for a $70 transaction, which you actually paid for. Right?
Yeah, and I actually had to pay it back. Yeah, and on top of it, I had to owe the court that too because they were going through bankruptcy. So it was really, really, really silly. But yeah, so they just used my experience. If they weren't going through bankruptcy, it would have never happened that way.
So did you actually get a summon and something like?
Yeah, they told me they took me out of my job, and it was just all of a sudden, like they took me back to the office and they're like, by the way, we're going through bankruptcy. And upon checking the cameras, we know you checked yourself out. And I was like, what? And they're like, when you bought this thing, I know you paid for it, but you checked yourself out and you're not supposed to do that. And we're going through bankruptcy. So finances are really tight right now. So everything that's improperly financed for our system has to be recorded and has to go to court since we have an ongoing case. So you're going to receive a letter and you're going to have to adhere to this court date for this. And then,
wow.
And I had the receipt.
Did everything come out of it? But you had to appear in court and everything, huh?
Yep.
Must have been, at that point, some sort of an scary experience, right? Going to court over $70.
It was definitely stressful, yeah.
Okay. But post that, you decided that you want to just do things on your own, right? You didn't take any full-time job or anything.
Right. So I was starting to teeter-totter into wanting to do something for myself, but I didn't know exactly what was going to be marketing. Like I was helping other people like manage stuff like this, like people doing Twitch or podcasts or sessions. I was like helping people do that. So I just wasn't sure exactly what my field of expertise was going to be, but I knew I wanted to do something for myself. Instead of, I wanted to make money for myself, not be limited by 9 to 5. I just wanted to have as much income and make as much as I could. And like I said, saw other people doing that. Since I had experience with my college a little bit, with business, I knew I wanted to run my own business. So anyways, I took that seasonal position just to earn extra money while I was trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And yeah, after that situation, and I had a different temporary position around that time too. And the manager ended up having a crush on me. And since he was mad that he couldn't be with me since I was married at the time, I lost that job. So it was just like silly stuff with temporary positions. I was like, I'm tired. There's 2 temporary positions that didn't go great. Let me figure out what I want to do. And like I said, I had that opportunity at the coffee shop right after that. And then that gave me the idea, well, if I'm working for myself and I'm kind of marketing this coffee shop, which is kind of like marketing myself, why can't I market other businesses? And then that's where I got the idea to go into marketing and advertising, and I've just been doing it since.
Got it. Got it. And then I don't know how you recall. You just had a passing mention about that manager having crush on you, you having to leave job. I don't know if you were forced out or they fired you, but it's actually a serious business. I don't know how seriously you took it, but anybody in a position of power making an employee, that to a female employee, uncomfortable and causing a job loss can actually, it's basically a lawsuit waiting to happen. I don't know how you decided to deal with it.
Yeah, it was just a sticky situation. I had kind of contacted him and the business and everything, and they kind of didn't want to get into the messy situation, so they kind of just didn't say anything, kind of took his side, but by not saying anything. So they just took me out the schedule. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And they wouldn't get back to me. They wouldn't answer me. And after like a week, they're like, oh, sorry, we're going to update the schedule soon. Oh, sorry, we're going to update the schedule soon. And then the manager finds me on like social media, Snapchats, and I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm not dumb. Like, I know you had a crush on me. So is that the reason I don't have a job, because you couldn't contain yourself around me? And he was like, yes. And I was like, that's just so silly. And I was just, at that point, I was already into the marketing a little bit, and I was just done with it. He was just.
And that's unfortunate. But again, this is something which is a reality of our corporate life. There are many individuals, women in particular, who go through it. And I'm sorry that you had to go through it as well. It's just not right. Okay. So let's move on. How are you? I know that you said that you are living in the moment and you are sort of focusing on your kids, which is nice. But how are you doing in terms of planning for future? What portion of your salary you think, or your income you think, you save or invest at this point?
I would say anywhere between 15 to 20%. I try, but just like I said, kind of just briefly mentioned real quick, like sometimes like miscellaneous expenditures that you don't always plan. So like I was saving, and I had a good savings for a little while, and then everything happens once. Like my work computer broke, 2 cars broke down.
Sorry, what happened? What happened?
My work, like all within like less than 2 months span, like my work computer broke, so then I had to pay to replace that, get that. I had a car broke down, like the fuel pump went out, so that was $1,000 to get fixed, and then I had another car, like the solenoid, and just a couple of things went out on that when I was using that. So I had to pay a few $1,000s for a computer, a few $1,000s for a car, a few thousand here. I was supposed to go to a wedding in Massachusetts, which is a few $1,000 trip. So anyways, like all my savings went kaput in this amount of time. So everything I was saving was for that, but it was all gone. So now I'm trying to still sense, because it's like, it's hard. It's like playing catch up continually almost. So it's like, it's
Right.
20% not enough almost.
Right. And then that happens. That's just life.
Right.
Unfortunately, like I said, typically we have seen that misery hits together, like yellow one after another problems. That's why there is this concept of both an emergency fund, and then there is something called a rainy day fund. I, in fact, made a video about that on my channel. Maybe I'll link it here. But the idea is that while you need to do your savings, you also need to save for your rainy day fund and an emergency fund. Otherwise, your saving plan would get disturbed. So there need to be an account. Of course, it's easier said than done, right? Every account needs money, but when you're saving, you have to first save for a little fund which will pay for these unexpected expenses, because we all have cars, and one thing about car is it's not that if it will break down, it's only when it will break down. Right. So something or other is going to break down. You need to have a separate fund for that, so that you don't have to dip into your investments, because investments, again, anytime you take money out, you're again starting from zero basically, and all your plans will go awry, because we have to plan that you're paying 15%, like you said, every month, and over a period of 10 years my income or my investments will grow to this. So you have to make every effort to not disturb that, and then you have to use any windfall. You have a one good month, or you can do something extra. This particular month I'll work really extra hard to build these other funds, emergency and a rainy day fund, which are for these unexpected expenses, which again, frankly, they are going to come. So work on that, and you can find, either look at my video, or you can find more information around what are those. Typically, it's suggested that for an emergency fund, you maintain at least your 3 to 6 months of your expenses, including your rents, the key expenses which you just can't avoid. You can technically avoid eating out and some of the other fun stuff, but rent and grocery and other stuff, insurance payments, those you have to account for. And if it is like $2,000 a month, then you need at least $6,000 to $12,000 set aside. If you lose your job, sickness happens, something else happens, then there should be a cushion there. That should be your first order of business. Okay, but where are you putting your investments? Like, how are you doing your investments?
Investments, I try to invest in a few different ways. I go on with somebody investing in property. So right now it's being built upon, and we're just going to sell that. We've done a lot to the property, so it's putting a little money out, but it's investing because the return is going to be great. So that's one form of investment. I do a little bit of cryptocurrency, not big amounts, but I have Dogecoin and Bitcoin and stuff. And then, of course, some stocks. And then I also have some bonds, some I bonds and E bonds that I've bought and will grow over time. So those are my forms of investment currently.
Okay, and then that's great. One thing I saw is that, at least the way you explain, it's diversified.
Right.
So we may not have time to go into details, but I see that you're dabbling in everything. That's good. First thing is that you should not invest just in one asset class, which is good. I did hear about Dogecoin, and it's funny because, again, if you go on my YouTube channel, I believe it was yesterday or day before, I posted a channel about another guest who came on this podcast. He spoke about how his Dogecoin investments went like several thousand times, grew, but he regretted not selling at that point. Now it's 90% down. So I don't know if you're still sitting on your Dogecoin, or did you make money with your Dogecoin?
No, I did actually sell quite a bit of the investment and when it was big, and so I made a good amount back from it. And I still have some Dogecoin, but I did, like I said, cash out.
Give me just an idea of like what kind of gain you got from that, and when did you buy and sell? Like some idea.
Okay. So with the amount that I put in, it wasn't like I didn't have so much money to put here and here when I diversified. So it's like I still got, 375% of my return, but like I only put in $400 and got, $1,600 back. So it was worth it, but it wasn't like a large amount. If I had more to invest, obviously I would have gotten more back, but it still obviously was definitely worth it. And I still have a few hundred in there now.
Yeah, I understand. So first of all, congratulations that your investment worked out. That's great. But a piece of advice here is, particularly when you have had an experience like this, where you invested something and the crypto went up 400%, it almost always leads to somebody, like an individual, thinking that I have some sort of idea. I'll see, I am so smart, I did this. And next time you will be investing $5,000-$10,000 in something like another coin, right? And that coin, unfortunately, will not take the same path. It's
right.
It's almost so predictable, but we all feel like that. You have one good investment, we feel like we have something going for us, and we'll immediately get back, put more money, and the investment takes it away, right? So be careful around that.
And I really have, because part of me wants to, but it's like you said, it's kind of like gambling, and I don't have so much to gamble with, so I really haven't. That was really my biggest risk, if you want to say. Thankfully, it paid out, but I'm not going out there trying, let me try this, because I just,
gambling is
not worth that reward.
Exactly. So it's very high risk, can have high reward, but you can have only, say, 5% of your portfolio to gamble away, and you should be ready to lose that money. Then it's free, but never invest 50% of portfolio, for example. Okay, that's cool. Let me ask you some quick question. We are towards the end of the podcast. I'll ask some, it can be funny, but it can also lead to some learnings, for example. So tell me, think about last couple of years and tell me about your biggest expense. Like, what have you bought, which is your biggest expense in the last couple of years?
Okay. Biggest expense would definitely be the property. Like I said, I didn't go in all myself, but it was a pine farm, and it was just $200,000. Like I said, I didn't go in myself. It was technically a little bit of savings, but a loan that we got together. That was, she had a lot of the money. And I had just a little bit of money, so I had like a little bit of the land. But anyways, the whole total of the land was a little over $200,000. I probably put in total $20,000, and that was just savings that I had accrued. So I would have like a 10% of the land, but I also put shed on it and an RV on it. We've taken down some pine, but the pine's still growing to accrue. Because once those pine grows, you can cut those down and get lots of money from that. But we built a driveway, put electricity on the land, and we've pretty much grown the land and put lots of time and money into the land to resell that for, it's going to be like at least, just like the Dogecoin investment, a good 300% of the investment that we put in there. So that was definitely the largest purchase that I've spent, because that was quite a lot of years and times of savings put into something really big.
That's excellent. One thing I liked about your answer is your biggest expense is an investment. It's right. So that itself says that your head is at the right place. Generally, people will talk about the cars they bought and other things. So it's an investment which is good. And you are improving the land. So sounds on the face of it sounds like a good investment. You will definitely know the details. So congratulations on that. Now, for the same question, if this was for something which is not an investment and not something spent on the kids toys and all, like something which you would have spent on either yourself, and it can be for family also, but more for enjoyment rather than actually an investment or a fee, for example, what would it be?
Well, just off the top of my head, it was to hopefully make memories with the kids and have something fun. But I bought like a like a go-kart type of electric bike, and we hardly ever used that thing. And that was a few $1,000s. And that was just, it's fun, but that was kind of probably a little silly of me, Am I glad I have it? I'm not sure, but at least we'll make a couple memories for it. Hopefully, like,
that battery car kind of a thing, like you said. Okay. I have seen those, and now you probably said, right, now it's just staying in your garage probably?
Yeah, so hardly ever used. Maybe when the kids are older, I'm not sure.
And it was a couple of $1,000s?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that would count as an expense where you went a little overboard, is like what you're saying. Was that a Christmas, Thanksgiving thing, or you just one fine day you decided you want to buy that and that?
No, well, because we had just moved, after we moved from Virginia to Tennessee, we gave the place we were renting or leasing, just like us living there. It wasn't any investment, it was just us living there. But we had 75 acres. We had like a little farm. We had this nice house, a guest house. We had 4-wheelers, a boat, jet ski. It was nice, And we just super downsized for family, because I was like, material is not worth the memories that I can make being close to my family. So we didn't take the 4-wheelers or boat or all that stuff with us, And now we only have like a little acre, but it's still fine. But so I was like, after a while, I was like, oh, what I don't want them to miss out at what could have been. So let me go be frivolous and get this $2,000-something electric bike, almost $2,000. I think it was a little over with the shipping and everything. But anyways, let me go ahead and just get this. So this way the kids will always have it, and they can always have fun, and they don't miss out because we moved. And when it was just, again, me being silly, because the kids are young, they hardly ever used it. Like I attached one of those things that you put on a bicycle, a little cart with the seatbelts that you can put your kids in. I put the kids in that a few times, and they're like, this buggy is uncomfortable. I don't even, so it was just like an idea and a thought that was way too expensive that I should have considered a lot more, but I've considered more on big transactions. I was like, well, this would be fun for the kids. No, I'm not going to buy it. That's a lot of money that can be better spent elsewhere.
Great. So it was basically mom trying to overcompensate for things which you thought your kids are leaving behind. But you're right. Little kids in particular, they don't really care how much it cost. They probably would enjoy that buggy, the $50 buggy, more than this. Right? They just care for the experience, and then that's something in which they are great. They don't value it based on price. They just value it based on experience. Wonderful. So Kylie, if think about this similar imagination, if money was just not an issue, like if you had more money, what is that one thing where you want to spend a lot of money on?
One thing.
What will you want to do? It's more like a desire, something. If we had good money, this is what I'll do. Preferably for yourself, but it can be family as well. But
right. Well, I feel like that's just such a multifaceted question, because once you have money, if there's no limit, keep going. obviously I want to just be able to take care of my family, leave something behind, but grow a business. So the ideal picture would like have somewhere land that my family could either build upon. They could, I don't know, put lands on it, camp, Airbnb. It could be somewhere people live, or they can live there and use part of the land as wedding venue space. However, but just have enough land for my family to have, which they can also earn money off of if they can, even if that was farming, having cows, whatever they chose to do. But just kind of like setting myself and future generations up, if I could. And hopefully that would also help out the community. Like, the goal would be to have enough where I'd be able to, help animals or help people. However, with having that much land, I could give more. The goal to have more money is to be able to give more. But of course, you want to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself and your family to be able to take care of others.
Makes sense, makes sense. And again, probably the mom or parent in you is speaking. You're thinking about
Always.
securing the future of your family, which is great. And then you are actually taking certain steps. You already have this land investment. It may not become the land for your family, but you're taking steps. Hopefully, one of these days you'll buy an investment that you may even be able to and decide to keep for your family. So I'm glad that you're taking approach there. Next question is about relationship, right? What do you think, based on the life experience that you had, how important it is to have a partner like the significant other who shares your convictions, attitudes about money? Because generally we don't see that when we are selecting a partner. But do you think that is important?
Yeah, yeah, you definitely don't consider it because that's definitely been a problem in my past, not just finances, but just not seeing eye to eye on those values. I definitely, with my kid's father, that kind of just dwindled things because we were trying to work together, do marketing together, create businesses together. And that it was more focused on that than any familial things. And us not seeing eye to eye just completely kaput, everything else, so to speak. So it is important, and me being able to see eye and eye on values, just like finances, just those little details that are really important, just really matter. And that's what allowed me to connect with the person I'm with now, which is who, my kids call dad. So that's the best thing. That's what allowed us to connect, to be able to get to the point we are, is just connecting on those values. So I think it is important.
Very good. Very good. So it was great talking to you. Anything that I can help you with, or you have any questions related to your finances or anything which...
All those tips that you've given me while I mentioned things have been very helpful. And I have a good, clear picture of what I want to do leaving here, as well as watching some of your videos that you've mentioned. So if you can send some links to a couple of those, like rainy day funds, that would definitely be appreciative. So you've been very informative. I don't have a question off the top of my head, but I have a good game plan because of you. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I will definitely send you some links. For somebody like you who has self-taught herself, like I said, I'm very impressed with how you taught yourself. You you went ahead and found clients, and now you have paying clients for your business. So you're very enterprising. I know that somebody like you can go a long way if you put your head focus. Kids will grow up. They'll start going to school. You'll have more time. So I'm sure your income will grow. You have time in your hand as long as you make a game plan and follow that for your financial life. So I wish you all the best. It was great talking to you.
You too. Thank you so much.